limited choices for all, and that liberty is relative to those who are willing to lie and cheat and steal and believe in autocracy and authoritarianism, and that racism is justified, that the American melting pot, that the idea of democracy, that the idea of diversity, that the idea of equality is bullshit, and that you understand that's what they think, and that you feel better now, after 4 years, to see clearly who you once thought were your friends or people you understood in your family, that you now know, okay, you believe in authoritarianism, you believe in minority rule, you are sympathetic to racists, and you think it's okay to lie and cheat and steal to subvert the democratic election process in order to gain power. And that you believe that having no moral center and no sense of values is strength. And just say that to them. Just say, I get it now. Could you pass the potatoes? Yeah, well, it's not going to, you can pick that up again in 4 years if that's the way it's going to go. But right now, by the fucking skin of our ass, we've held on to this republic somehow. And democracy as we understand it. But I get it. I get who you are. And we all know now. We all know who your friends are. And we all know what the people that you believe in and who believe with you, what they look like and what they believe in. And a lot of it is just complicated bullshit and garbage. I understand. You were fragile and vulnerable, and you let a grifting pig fuck your brain up, and you support it with internet sewage that you string together like a goddamn crown of thorns around your dumb head and justify your victimhood as an entitled white person. So go fuck yourself, Grandpa. Can I get a little more turkey? Hey, so look, Mike Campbell was here, as I said, in February before COVID, before the lovely Lynn Shelton passed away, and they moved up the release of the record, and now he's here. But it's interesting. Maybe you can hear a tonal difference. But I did choose, as I said earlier, to offer my condolences as a way to open this conversation, which is something I became very familiar with being on the other side of. But it was, to me, it felt right because I miss Tom, and God knows he must have. So this is me talking to Mike Campbell, the member of Tom Petty's Heartbreakers, and his band, The Dirty Knobs, has a record out, Reckless Abandon, which is available now wherever you get your music. And this was recorded back in February, before everything broke. I'm assuming that your home studio is music-oriented.
Oh, yeah. I make records.
You use those in the studio to sing into?
I do. It's just a
SM7?
In fact, I use it on the record.
You did?
And it's interesting you would do that because I always used to have this posh, old Neumann mic. And
right.
Draculia said, no, just use this for tracking. And I liked it so much, we ended up doing all the vocals on it.
On one of these?
Yeah.
I'm not as much of a nerd as I should be. Like, what is the difference? Like, you had a big what are they? Neumann?
Well, the Neumann is what you call a condenser mic.
Okay.
Technically, the condenser mic picks up all
the whole room. Yeah.
And this is a directional mic,
right?
Dynamic, like it picks up right here.
Right.
And so if you're tracking with a band and you've got one of those condenser mics, it's a mess.
Right.
But if you've got this down here, all it picks up mostly is your voice, so you can
go. You can play it all live.
Yeah.
Did you guys do that with this record?
We did mostly live, yeah. Of course, some of the vocals I did over.
After?
But we tracked live with this, and then I went to do the vocals, and I liked the sound of this, so we ended up using it.
It makes a big difference, right, to track it live?
Absolutely.
Because I listened to the record, and it just seems like, all of it seems so well integrated, none of it... Because I think you guys must have... Did you do that on the last Petty record, too?
On the last couple of records, yeah. Well, there's lots of ways. Are we starting now?
Sure.
Okay, there's lots of ways to make records, and I've done them.
Before we start, I do want to say, I'm sorry for the loss of your friend, and I wanted to say that to you.
Thank you, sir.
And it's
caught me off guard there for a second.
I'm sorry, buddy.
I'm okay, but let's get that out of the way. Yeah, I think I'm over it, and then somebody will say something and go, "Oh yeah, thank you."
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Okay, good, man.
It was rough.
bet.
God bless him. But we made a lot of records together, and in lots of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make a record like with Jeff Lynne, for instance.
Yeah.
Building up the record maybe piecemeal.
Yeah.
And then you have a record.
Right. But you can feel that with a Jeff Lynne record.
You can, and it's a great way to do it, but it's different. We got to the point where we had done several records like that.
Yeah.
And then we decided, it's really more fun to have the guys all around and try to get that chemistry in that moment where everybody breathes.
Yeah.
And so the Heartbreakers, the last 2 or 3 albums at our clubhouse, we just recorded there live with no headphones.
Where's that, in the hills?
It's out in the valley.
Oh, yeah?
In the middle of the valley, yeah.
Okay.
In the industrial section.
Yeah, no headphones.
No headphones. We had some little vocal monitors, kept them low.
No
and
kidding.
play in the room.
Uh-huh.
And so on the Dirty Knobs record, that's how I really prefer to do it.
Yeah.
It's organic. We're all playing live.
Right.
The solos are all live and during the take.
Yeah.
And, the vocals, some of them are live. Some of them I went back because I could do them a little better.
Sure.
But that's the kind of record I wanted to make, was everybody performing at the same time.
Yeah, and what's great about the record is that, like, I can hear your whole history of who you are on that thing musically and what influenced you. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of stuff. Like, I can hear Florida. I can hear, I can hear the blues. I can hear the country. Like,
you can take the boy out of the South, but you can't take the South out of the boy.
I guess not, man. There's like that one cut on there with the Southern Boy one with that.
Yeah.
I fucking love that, man.
Thank you. That's one of my favorite tracks. Great drummer.
Yeah, who is that guy?
Matt Logg.
Yeah. What's his story?
His story is he's played a lot of sessions. He played on a Alanis Morissette hit, You Ought to Know, many years ago. And, and he was a session player. I didn't really know who he was.
Uh-huh.
And he did some touring with Slash for a while there.
Oh, really?
So he's used to playing some big gigs.
Yeah.
And he just like all these guys, the Dirty Knobs, just appeared. I didn't audition a band. I just met the guitar player. He knew the drummer.
Where's the guitar player from?
He's from L.A. He's
been around a while guy?
Beverly Hills kid. Yeah. He's been
studio
around.
guy or what?
Well, sort of. He had a band back in the 80s. It didn't happen. But mostly he's just... he didn't do a lot of sessions. He's just a player. He's a good player.
Yeah.
And I met him at a session.
Uh-huh.
But we just hit it off, and it was, and then he, like I said, the band, the 4 guys, they were the first 4 guys that showed up.
Wow!
And all the personalities were just right. I mean, how lucky am I?
Yeah, that is pretty lucky. How'd you? But you didn't know. You didn't you never really played with them before.
No.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So. The other one, I want to ask you some gear questions on Don't Wait. Was that P90?
No.
Oh.
Don't Wait was a 59 Les Paul with the humbuckers on the bass pickup.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we're leaving the tone all the way off.
On the bass.
Bass
so
pickup,
that's where you got that...
That cream sort of tone.
Yeah. The 59.
My only 59, yeah. So
You've only got one?
Well, yeah. I could barely get that one.
It's crazy, right?
It's insane.
I didn't know anything about this shit because I'm not a real guitar nerd, but I'm a big Peter Green fan.
Okay.
And I don't know... I didn't know that the 59 was a thing until, recently. But it's really a thing.
It's the Stradivarius of electric guitar.
What makes it that?
I think it was just that year, the wood, the neck was maybe a little bit thicker than the next year.
Yeah.
The alloy, the metal.
Is it you got the red eye, the sunburst one?
Yeah.
That's the one, right?
And
that's the one Walsh has.
There's a story behind how I got that.
Really?
I'll keep it short. But
no, we got time.
They're ridiculously expensive. So the first time...
I know. Jason Isbell just bought one, and I know how much it cost.
Okay.
Dude.
Well, we won't get into the numbers, but it's out there. It's
it's crazy.
It's sick. It's wrong.
It's as expensive as a guitar gets when it's not attached to a name.
There you go.
Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So there's a guy from Hollywood named Albert who used to have a store called Guitars R Us, and we would get guitars from him. And so he had collected a few 59s over the years, and he called me up 10 years ago and said, I've got a 1959 Les Paul.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I've already got it. You should try this one. I'll leave it at your house for a few days, and if you don't like it...
He's trying to sell it to you 10 years ago before they were cool, or what?
Right before they were catching on in a big way.
Okay.
But they were already,
Right.
there.
Yeah.
So I played it and I was getting ready to go on tour. I played it for a few days, and I thought, you know what? This is not jangly. I'm used to a
Rickenbacker
so
or something.
I don't know that that I need this, especially for that kind of money. So I said, I'm going on tour. Thanks anyway. And I gave it back to him.
Uh-huh.
My wife calls me about a week later. She goes, you know what? I think you should get that, if for nothing else, for an investment. She's one of those.
Uh-huh.
And so I said, oh, okay, call him back. He'd sold it.
Oh.
So flash forward 5 years later, the one I have now, same story. Hey, Mike, I got this one. It's even better than the other one. Take it for a few days, and if you like it.
Yeah.
So I did, and by now the number was 5 times what the other one was.
Oh, my God.
Which I did not have on me at the time, but once again, I was getting ready to go on tour. And this guitar I fell in love with. So I said, look,
really?
Albert, and, what if I give you half now and half at the end of the tour? So we worked out a deal.
Yeah, he trusted you.
Yeah. And so that's the one I have now. I used it on Mojo and Hypnotic Eye, and Tom loved it. We started making records around that sound.
Around that guitar sound.
And that's on that song you mentioned.
That's the one on Don't Wait.
Don't Wait is the thick Les Paul on the bass pickup, the old Eric Clapton trick where you turn the tone all the way up, all the way off, bass pickup all the way up, and the amp cranked up, and it gets that kind of woman tone they call it.
Oh, is that what it is?
And that's what I was doing. I was trying to emulate that sound on that song.
Oh, that's a trip, man.
Well spotted.
Yeah. And you got that through, what amps are you playing through?
Well, mostly little Fenders, Fender
really?
Deluxes. I think
like that thing there? I got a 53 Deluxe in there.
Those are beautiful.
Yeah.
We used that. On that particular album, though, I was using this Duesenberg amp that they made, which is relatively small, that was modeled after that.
And you got to crank them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to get the tone, you got to...
Yeah, you push it up there until it gets sweet.
But it's sort of wild to me that you were so used to jangly guitars. Mm-hmm. What was that? You said 10 years ago?
Yeah.
That when you bought that one? Because that was sort of because I identify you guys, I connect you with Fenders and Rickenbackers.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I mean, that was the trip. All the way way back, like when you started?
That was the stuff that we loved, that we grew up on. Like, we come from Florida, right?
Yeah, what was going on in Florida? What year, man?
This would have been 72.
72.
And it was right when the Allman Brothers were happening and Leonard Skinner, and all those bands were playing Les Pauls.
Did you go see the Allman Brothers?
I never saw the Allman
Skinner?
Brothers. I saw Skinner. We played some gigs with them.
Back in Florida?
On the back of a truck. Yeah, back in Jacksonville and stuff. And they were nobody yet either.
How were they as guys?
I didn't get to talk to them much.
Really?
But we played some gigs with them and said hi to them, and they were friendly.
Were they good
They're
then?
from Jacksonville, which is where I'm from. Yeah, they were great. They sound just like they do now.
It's kind of crazy, right?
You just have it, I guess, at an early age.
In the back of trucks you played with them? You said?
It was a flatbed truck set up in a field. And there was like 200 hippies there.
It was a festival?
It was a so-called love in, I guess.
Oh, yeah, back in the 70s?
But it was funky, but it was beautiful,
Yeah.
But to get back to my point, a lot of bands in Florida around that time were going after the Allman Brothers sound.
Like 2-3 guitars.
Thick.
Yeah. Right.
And we never really liked that. We were inspired more by the Beatles, the Stones, the Animals, Kinks, the bright, jangly,
Really? Kinks were played in there early on?
The Kinks are a major influence, yeah.
Really?
So when the Heartbreakers started making records, we had Rickenbackers and Fenders mostly.
Yeah.
And that became the sound that we were used to, the bright, jangly sound. So the Les Paul was another world for me. I had to get used to it, but then I found a way to do it.
Oh, that's wild. But it took a while, huh?
A little while, yeah, not too long.
Because I remember like listening to like the first Heartbreakers record, like that. It's so weird that when to think about these records, because like I've listened to that first Heartbreakers record, thousands of times.
Wow.
I mean, you know what I mean? All my life.
Thank you.
I listened to it. I remember I got it in high school. But it's strange that my favorite songs on there are not like Mystery Man. What a great fucking song that is.
And that's a one take, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And who wrote that? You and Tom?
Tom wrote that song.
Yeah.
I wrote the guitar.
That guitar riff is great, man. It's like it's straight up country riff almost.
That was my Fender Broadcaster.
Yeah.
Tom played a Strat.
Oh, you had an old Broadcaster?
Yeah. And that was my main guitar, but that song's a perfect example.
Yeah.
Tom had the chorus.
Right.
I just went, do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it turned into that song. Very Van Morrison influenced.
Sure.
Yeah.
With but that night, you let those open strings ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just